Greetings, the title of this video is Spiderweb. Don't have too many people. In this video I hope to go over what I mean by spiderweb. And I don't actually mean like an actual spiderweb, but it's more of a way to hopefully illustrate and explain things, so much so that I did a little art piece with spiderweb. Now, I pray that you just bear with me a second. See this little circle here, this is you. Now just to clarify, not every individual would have like a spider web in regards to their interactions with people. This is usually a very more common phenomenon given the age we live in, where there's more connectivity between people than ever. So a spider web, as mentioned, this illustration here, if this is you, just this might not apply to you, but if it is, then if anything that I says, if anywhere has any reflection on your interactions in life, then there's a high probability you're kind of in this type of dynamic, which I want to call the spider web. Now, just for argument's sake, say hypothetically, say this is you, and say if you're an individual that has a lot of connections of people. So say this is you, and that's 1 person, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, say 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, say if you have 20 or 30 people you interact with a lot. Just to bear in mind that you're limited by the amount of time that you have in each day. Say there's 24 hours in a day, then you have, say if you sleep on average 8 hours a night, some people sleep 5 or 6, but depending on average that gives you 16 hours in a day to use. Now, because of we live in an era, especially in the Western world or any world that has like phones and things, you are bombarded with a lot of connections with people never before in human history. Therefore, you have the high chance of developing a spider web. If you do develop a spider web dynamic, it comes at huge costs, because each person you have to invest time, energy and resources in, otherwise it leads to frictions and complications, especially if you have to kind of prioritize one person over another and things, it creates complications. You also have to deal with perceptions and things, how people perceive each other when spider web dynamic, so it leads to more likelihood of drama to occur. And it's very important to know your limits, because if you don't prioritize yourself, you tend to use a lot of your time, ends up becoming wasted. Your creative potential is gone. I myself now, I don't have a spider web. When I was younger, I was somewhat what we call people pleaser. Usually people who are people pleasers, or who seek to have a lot of attention, or they have a lot of people want. This is multiple reasons why say individuals how spiderwebs develop in their life. But access to internet leads to the high likelihood. The more people have access to your phone number, it leads more likelihood, because the more people that have way to interact with you, the more high probability you're going to end up developing a spider web than say if you're someone like me who's more like extroverted. I don't contact people for the set reason to not develop a spider web. And also just my own life experience of trying to having to deal with people's different perceptions of each other, and I don't really do so well with people with fixed mindsets. So if I'm in a company of people with fixed mindsets, it can be very draining and daunting me, and then you have to deal with drama and situations. So I avoid all that. I have people come on to me if they sort of choose to come on to me and spend time in my presence, but on that I don't go like seeking out people. So my approach, back to spiderweb. You have, the more connections you have, the more harder it is to maintain. So you've also have to take into account as well that your dynamic connection with one person is going to affect another person's connection. Ideally, hopefully that will not be the case, but sadly when it comes to human nature it is, especially if you surround yourself like with 5 people deeply dramatic and deeply it creates, you are the average of 5 people you spend the most time with. So if your spider web is made up of people that completely drain you, that make things more complicated for you, in the process then you don't prioritize yourself. So it's very tragic when I ever see an individual with a spider web. Celebrities now, what do we mean with celebrities? Celebrities and people in general, people who have high status or who want to achieve high status, tend to get a lot of people flooding them. Now, I don't know, because I don't know if the studies of spider webs are more common between men and women. It's usually down to individual, if I was to guess. But the more you're connected to individuals, especially the internet, the more high probability of being spider web, especially if people have access to your phone number. So I advise never make your phone number public on any online forums, because you could have like some random person from some part of the world just randomly ringing you. So the more you leave yourself open, the more you're going to get exposed to having to deal with spider webs, especially with interacting with people. I don't have that issue because I don't have very rarely anyone ever ringing me. But it's something that can be very draining. So say you have 16 hours a day. If you're an individual that's in, say, a spiderweb dynamic, a lot of your time is spent interacting with 10, 12, 5 people on a daily basis. And a lot of these conflicts, and it's very hard to maintain the connection because it comes at a cost. You can only maintain a certain amount of connections. And you have to ask yourself and self-reflect, is this connection in any way beneficial for 2 people? Is this connection, are both of you actually is it mutually both beneficial for both people? Or is one person always take? A lot of the spider dynamics, or spider web dynamic, is usually down to, say, individual not prioritizing themselves. I would say that it's the need to please others, or the need for others to have a positive view of yourself, leads to many people that get caught up in like a spider web dynamic, or its inability to be in one's own presence. People who tend to be introverted will develop a more high probability my apologies, people who are extroverted, I think. I get confused with introverted and extroverted. What was the opposite? I think I'm extroverted. I think introverted is like you explore, and you like being around a lot of people. Those tend to develop spiderweb dynamics most of the time. If it's very, very rare, I don't think an extrovert person would at all. I don't. I'm more extroverted. So it's just something to keep in mind, because the more people you maintain, the more you have to try and maintain that connections, the more time, energy, resource and investment you have to set for individual. And when you're doing that, you're sacrificing, prioritizing yourself, and eventually that will affect your spiritual, physical and emotional health, as you tend to get more dragged into people's drama and people's lives and things out of your control that lead to more stress, that lead to more health issues, that involve you in situations that afterwards you be going yourself that I wish I never did that. So that is the consequences of when you have, especially if you have individuals in set spider web that are very destructive, have very destructive patterns. People don't often make the destructive patterns known, but time tells a lot. And if you're an individual that has like a spider web dynamic, you must, I applaud you and pray for you to self-reflect, because the common denominator of this whole spider dynamic thing is you. You're the common denominator of the whole thing, because you're choosing the time, energy, resources that you're putting into your day. So you're choosing to connect with people. It could be simple as answering a phone call and then being on the phone then for 5 to 10 minutes. But if it's like a consistent pattern, it becomes that if you allow other people to come very reliant on you, eventually that will drain you. And the more people you have, the more connections maintained, the more it is impossible, because we're all mortal, we all have a limited time, energy, resources, So it's about trying to prioritize, okay, which connection is more of a higher priority, and to kind of self-reflect on that is very important, and not like to have this fear of like feeling bad about disconnection connections. If a connection that you have is keeping you stagnated or bring you down, because you have someone in a spider web that could bring you down complete ruin, because if they're going down, they're going to drag you down with you. But you have the choice of whether or not you have that connection with that person, and there could be someone else that's not even in this dynamic, that could be more positive influence on your existence. And yet people tend to be drawn towards people that end up destroying themselves and you in the same process. So yeah, just if you're in a kind of this kind of spider dynamic where you have multiple connections, I pray for you to reconsider the connections you have, and just sit down quietly, get out a piece of paper, write down the list of names, and self-reflect on, like, are these connections you have in any way helping you? Are these people lifting you up? Are these individuals have the right heart towards you, or do they have very bad intentions towards you of connecting you? So it's something just to take into consideration. Anyway, thanks for watching this video about Spiderweb, and not to have too many people. I would suggest to just at least have just to write down a list of names, and then kind of just self-reflect and ask yourself about these connections. Are these connections in any way helping you? Because time, like a year, 2 years, 3 years, you have a situation where people will be in the spider web for a lot of period of time, where they have these connections with people, and it's just a lot of time that they're using that could prioritize themselves, or prioritize actually people that actually have a strong connection with them, yet they prioritize people who are a detriment to themselves, which is the most tragic thing about, say, an individual that's in the spider web. A lot of people in the spider web are people that take away the time that could be invested in them themselves, prioritizing themselves, or those that actually could be of creative influence on their life, and yet they choose people that will destroy them. Anyway, thanks for watching this video called Spiderweb.